One of the things that inspired me to get going was Trevor Calkin's Mastering the Basics program. Here we go, Mastering the Basics. How many years ago, Ray, was it that you asked me, do you want to do a math workshop? And I said, me? And he said, well, is there anything that you do in math that you'd like to share? And I said, well, Mastering the Basics is a great program. So that is why I actually started doing them. These are samples that my students actually do. This is a package that I gave to every student, and I had to get these back, by the way, that I gave to every student at the beginning of the year. Anybody want to look at them? And ask them, or not ask them, describe to them the fact that these tests, so to speak, are ways in which you can challenge your skills in specific areas. And they would function as a representation of the basic skills that you need in this grade. Okay, got it? Okay, so the whole thing was set up in a way where every week we would have, I called it BST Day, Basic Skills Testing Day. And to do those tests, first of all, they would at home prepare for it, in the classroom prepare for it, and say, okay, who's working on the addition test this week? Could you two meet up? Could you two meet up? Or you meet with your 3 o'clock appointment? Or no, that wouldn't work because they might not both be working on addition. But whoever's working on addition, maybe you want to sit at the table and go through. The tests look exactly the same. The only difference is the numbers. So what does that do in terms of students' idea of writing a test? What is it? Oh yeah, their anxiety is just way down there. They know what it's going to look like. Secondly, as a teacher, I would go over and over this. If you write a test and you don't get the passing score, which was 80%, I used to, 80% would be what I would require. If you don't get the passing score of 80%, it's not even going to be recorded. It's not written down as this is your score. You get to write that same test, except there are 4 different forms, different numbers. You get to rewrite that test as many times as you want until you have you have mastered that topic. So what would that do to their test anxiety? No big deal, right? They'd be like, and I would say it, does it matter if you don't get a passing score on this? And they'd say, no. What do? You learn from your errors, you go through and you make sure you understand what you did that was not correct. Try not to say wrong, right? That was not correct or not close to the right answer. And so they had this example of every single test that we would use all year long. They then, on BST days, they would line up in alphabetical order, because I had a list in my book of every student's name, a class list, in which they would come up and they would say which test they chose to challenge that week. And then I would give them a copy of the test, and they'd take a copy of loose leaf. They wouldn't write on the test, except for a few of them that have a lot of, like you can find some that have tables on them, like fractions and decimals. I wanted them drawing this out, spending all the time to draw this out, so I would let them write right on that test. So they would take the test back to their seats, and they'd have a loose leaf, and they'd write the form number and the name of the test and the date, put their answers on that sheet. Was it timed? Does it take very long to answer 4 questions? Look at that addition test. Does it take very long to answer 4 questions? No, it doesn't. Especially when you are prepared and you know what you're doing. Okay, so they would never see the same numbers, and they don't keep the tests. They don't take the tests home. They will take home their answer sheet, and they don't need to take the test home because they've got a copy of it at home, just with different numbers. Does that make sense to you? So parents, they think, this is great. I know exactly what I can do to help my child prepare for this basic skills test. Kids are, during the testing time, I used to just love this, because how many times would you have a student come and ask if they could do another test? Well, when you're doing BSTs, especially when they did a short one, like this, just 4 questions, 4 division questions, they'd come up and hand it in and say, can I do another one? Yeah, you can do another test, right? Give them another one, and they would do that one as well. Or I would get an opportunity, if they finished it early, to call them up, and I would mark it with them. So I would get a one-on-one chance right there talk to them about what they had done and what they needed to do differently. Now, the big sacrifice you need to make for this is being prepared to mark however many students in your class test once a week. I got really fast at it. You've got an answer key, all you do is flip to form B, subtraction, whatever, and you're marking on it. What I loved about that as a person who loves mathematics is that I would get a chance to write a little note to them. I would know what that child needs help with. It's like your individual learning happening in this little thing that was private. You never posted anything on the wall. Nobody ever knew what anybody had done. It would all just be in the atmosphere or the culture of your classroom. Hey, who's working on numeration this week? Let's sit down and do some numeration time. You know, within your math, the rest of the week, you'd have BST study time maybe on the day before. I always did it on Wednesdays because I had my prep on Wednesdays and I could get most of the tests marked. After a while, I was really good. I'd get them all marked. And then some of them marked while they're writing, you know. I also, there was no other math teaching that day. It was a word question day. I don't call them word problems, just word questions. And I would hand out a set of word questions that they could work on with other people and talk about, so that when they had finished their basic skills test, if they didn't want to do another one, they could take out the word questions and work in groups on those.